Hello, I'm Timothy Linsdale. I'm a video producer and Christian. Today I'm taking on the politics of the day. The Mueller report story reveals the ravenous nature of our division. The country's become quite divided. Not recently, but in the last 40 years, since the 60s. And I want to talk about where that came from, what it's about. If you go back to the Civil War period, you can see this kind of division that's developing over issues that are not resolved, and that's what it came to, was a war. We would never want to see that again. But in a sense, we have that type of cold civil war warfare going on. One of the fine private colleges in the U.S. has a publication called Imprimis, which is a terrific publication to read. And it's Hillsdale College is the college that produces this. If you want to have some great answers to questions, it's a great place to go. Professor John Marini gave a speech there recently, and he is an author and co-author of multiple books besides being a professor, such as The Politics of Budget Control, The Crisis of American Politics in the 21st Century. Gives you a little bit of idea of his thinking, and Congress and the presidency and the growth of the administrative state. That's another one of his. So they give you a condensed version of what the speech was about, but it helps you to better understand. He said the great difficulty in interpreting political scandals was summarized by a newspaper editor in the Western film The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. The editor said, when the legend becomes fact, print the legend. We've certainly had many legends regarding political scandals foisted on us, especially since Watergate. Now, what's Watergate got to do with the Mueller report and Trump and all that? Well, it's a lot of the same thing being repeated. And what that came from is President Nixon. In his first term as president, he wasn't out to really change a lot, and but at the time, our two elected branches of government, the executive and legislative, were controlled by Democrats. And they worked together to expand power in Washington by centralizing administrative authority in the executive bureaucracy. This damaged the centralization of power, created a political reaction in the electorate that began pushing back against the great society policies of the time. Now, there's a lot of history packed in here, because the New Deal that Franklin Roosevelt brought in was enhanced, if you will, by the Great Society policies that the Congress in the 60s and Johnson put together to make everybody happy, basically. I like to call those behaviors, these bureaucrats, executives who want to solve everything, and it's the benevolent benefactor syndrome, where they think they can not only think they have to fix everything, but they think that they can fix everything, and that's the real danger. They believe that it's like a divine appointment that they're going to be able to fix everything. But that's not the point. That's not the way our government operates. Our Constitution was designed to give individuals liberty. That's what this is all about. What has happened is we've created this giant bureaucracy of unelected officials. And examples of what is happening to us, I just heard in the news today, is that federal employees at the very least make 17% more than the people in the private sector, have almost no chance of ever being fired, have retire with great pensions and all kinds of benefits. Not to get into a jealousy issue here, but that shows you the power that they have now. Even FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, made the point that if they established government bureaucracies, government unions, that the taxpayer would be held hostage by those unions, and that's where we're at. And they've created these giant bureaucracies starting in the 30s and going in through the 60s. And now what we have is this monstrous bureaucracy of millions of people who are, and remember, these bureaucrats are not elected. They're the ones making the laws. It's not going through the normal legislative process that our Congress was designed to do. So we end up like having no control over anything. And we're just manipulated, pushed around, told what to do, and to do it. Well, Nixon was trying to turn that around. And Watergate really became the weapon that the status quo used to tear him down. We'll probably never really know the whole story of that. There's a lot, packaged inside that Watergate issue. That I don't want to talk about that. You can go study it all you want. But it really was a weapon used to shut down Nixon, because in his second term, this is where he wanted to start to try to clean up that bureaucracy and get control of it. Guess what happens when you go against the status quo? Anywhere. Religion, Spanish Inquisition, and as a creationist, evolution has become also an inquisition. Anytime you have that kind of power that doesn't have good evidence, look out, because these people are not going to let go of it very easily. I remember working for the school newspaper in college and challenging a professor over what they do with their charges, and professors with their free time, so-called going. I'm getting into the weeds. Anyway, I've seen it happen. But what has happened today with Donald Trump is he's doing a lot of the same thing that Nixon was trying to do. He was going to clean up the swamp. He was going to drain the swamp, right? You're talking about something that's been building for decades. And it takes an amazing person to be able to try to change that. And he's made a valiant effort. But the endless, constant attack, and one of them being the Mueller report, they get done and they say, well, there's, what do we have? We don't really have anything. But this won't end. The status quo will continue to move this against him because he's trying to change that status quo. But he got elected because the people felt the pressure from unelected bureaucracies. They felt that pressure. They know it wasn't right, that they're being pushed around by bureaucrats, and they have no control over them because they don't elect them. And that was how Nixon was elected, with a landslide, because people saw that. They had an innate understanding of it. This is the same thing with Trump. The people, a large number of them, understand that they're being manipulated and used by these bureaucracies. So they elect somebody from the outside of the political world, Trump, who had a tremendous amount of experience in business and in show business. He had a lot of the right attributes, the strengths to take that on. But that's why he's being attacked constantly. The truth doesn't really matter here. It's because you're trying to clean up the status quo that's become corrupt and impossible to control, and that's not benefiting any of us. But politicians, they get in there and they think they got to fix everything, make everybody happy. But it's not what the Declaration of Independence and Constitution were about. It was about individual liberty and individual responsibility. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Remember that pursuit of happiness is not a guarantee. The guarantee or the support you're supposed to get from the government is the freedom to pursue that happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, according to the Declaration of Independence, are given to you by your Creator. That's outside of man. That is very important to understand. But those are liberty. Those are natural law. Those are things that everyone has and can't be taken away. You have them. Can the government resist all of that? Yes, they can. But that's where we're at. But I really like this article to help you understand how Watergate and Trump, or Nixon and Trump, are in the same mess, if you will, the same challenge of trying to clean up the status quo. It's entirely up to the American people. We are the ones, Lincoln said, by, of, and for the people. Those are very important words, by, of, and for the people. It is the people who make this decision. Will they elect politicians who will try to clean up these messes, to truly take back their responsibility to legislate and not hand it over to bureaucrats to write law that the people have no control over? It's up to the people to make these decisions. That's where it's at. It's where it rests. So I recommend this article. Take the time to see how ravenous, if you will, the nature of the bureaucracies and how they're trying to take away your liberty to supposedly make everything great. And see how it reveals truth to you in this article. I recommend. Look it up. It's free. You can get it sent to your house for free. You can look up on the internet. Go to Hillsdale and Imprimus and read this wonderful article and many others. So that's my rant for the day. The Mueller report, even if it exonerates Trump in every other way, there'll be no end to it. They'll battle him to the last minute of his presidency because they're feeling the pressure of losing their status quo. That's what it's about. So I'm Timothy Linsdew. Like and comment on my video. Subscribe to my channel. You know what? Have a great day.